Hello everyone, and welcome to this live training. And if you're watching the replay, whether you're on Facebook or you are on the YouTube channel, thank you so much for being here and sharing part of your summer with me. Today we're going to be talking about the 3 different binder systems that I believe that you need and that I have implemented in my own classrooms as a special education teacher. They're all linked below this training or above, depending upon where you're viewing this video. So you'll find links to all of the things. There are some that are free that I'm going to share as honorable mentions. But I want to preface all of this information with saying what works for you and your classroom may look very different than what works for me in my classroom. And so take this information in like a sponge and then adapt it to meet the needs of the students and of your specific classroom setting. So what I'm going to show you are a couple of different binders. I'm going to show you more than 3. I'm going to show you the 3 first, and then I have 3 additional ones, 2 of which are free, no cost, and then you can decide what's going to work best in your classroom. The whole purpose of setting up this binder system is to be more organized. And what's really important about that is when you set yourself up for success at the beginning of the school year, it makes the rest of the school year just a little bit easier during those really overwhelming and stressful times like IEP season or when you have 12 IEPs due in 1 month. So setting up these systems now at the beginning of the school year is really going to greatly benefit you throughout the rest of the school year. So the very first binder that I want to show you today is the IEP Caseload Management Binder. Again, it is linked below. We have lots of different themes, but what is inside of this binder may look very different for you or may function very different for you based off of what you want to put inside of it. So this is my IEP Caseload Management Binder. And so this binder is for me. This is not for my students. We'll get to student IEP binders here in a minute, but this binder is where I am going to keep all of my pertinent information. So caseload information. I also keep copies of all of my data sheets and everything in here, but most importantly, this is where I'm keeping all of, again, my caseload information, student information, my IEP team information, school personnel information, outside service provider information. So this is really like an IEP information binder for being a caseload manager of the students that I service. And so what's inside? Let's show you. There's a very first is an acronym list, and we do have a free acronym list. I'll go back through after this and comment with the link to our free acronym list for special education acronyms. But that I put at the beginning because these change district to district, school to school, and state to state. Having worked in 4 different states and being certified in 6 different states, I can vouch for that. So you can add different acronyms, but make sure they're specific to your state or school or district, because that'll be really important for when you're working with other IEP team members, namely parents. So I have contact information in here. That's where I'm going to keep all of my school contact information. And you may have all of this somewhere. You could do an IEP Caseload Management Binder in a Google Drive somehow, or do it digitally and keep everything that way. Or maybe the school, your admin or special ed department head sends out something with all of this information that you can already print. So again, use the resources that you're provided with from your school and district, and then add in other things that you deem beneficial. So IEP contact information, grade level teams information, which is really important, especially if you're teaching like a resource classroom or inclusion, or you're co-teaching with multiple grade levels, or working in a self-contained classroom with multiple grade levels. It's really important to know who the different grade level team members are for each of the grade levels in your school. And then it goes into caseload information, and this is where I have my master caseload list. This is where I'm going to keep all of my students' information with their name and who I'm servicing, what their disability is, their IEP due dates, and that just keeps me on par with when their IEPs are due, when their reevaluations are due, and what grade they're in. Just a really quick at-a-glance caseload list. And then I have a caseload snapshot for IEP services or related services, so speech, OT, PT, adapted PE, orientation and mobility, counseling, all of those different things. I like to keep that on one page as well so that I can look and see and update that information as needed. Then we're going to go into student information, and so this is where I'm going to keep all those student profiles. Now, a lot of IEP writing systems, you'll be able to print this off, and so you don't need to fill in a special page unless you really wanted to. Same with the IEP at a glances. A lot of IEP writing systems can spit this out for you. It's usually not super pretty, but it's functional, and so you don't have to recreate it if you don't want to, but you certainly can if you feel like it. Then it goes into calendars. So my IEP tracking calendar. Whose IEP is when? Who do I have to write in each month at a really quick glance? This is one of my favorite ways to stay organized. And so I have it in 2 different formats, starting in August and starting in January. My reevaluation or RR calendar. And so who has evaluations that are coming up this year? When are they due? And so I know when they're coming and when I can start working on or prepping their information. Then it just goes into calendars that match the theme. And so you can use these, you can use your planner, whatever you see fit. Then it goes into parent contact. And I'm going to share a freebie with you for a parent contact binder here in a little bit, but I want to keep that information in here as well. This would be something personally for me that I would pull out and have in a separate binder, because that can get really thick, especially for some students. You want to make sure that you have all of their contact information separated, so if you ever have to pull it for whatever reason, you don't have multiple students' contact information on one page. And so I like to keep them separate, again, which I'll show you in a minute. IEP meetings, so before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting, what am I supposed to do? What do I need to check off and make sure that I get done? I like to have one of these printed off for each student. We do have this available as a free download as well. I'll come back through and link that for you. Reminders that I can send out to team members for their IEP meetings and 504 meetings, depending upon what your service looks like. And then it's going to go into all of the different data sheets. Now, I will show you what I do for my original copies binder for data sheets that I'm using frequently. When I'm not using them frequently, I like to keep my data sheets for all IEP related things, whether that's behavior, academics, functional things, calendars to keep track of bathroom habits and or using the restroom. I keep all of the original copies in here because I know where to find them at all times. I don't have to go looking through multiple different binders or find them in my TPT purchases or find them in a Google Drive. For me, my personal preference is to have them printed because then it's easy for me to just go to the copier and make copies. And so I like to keep them all in here. So that is what you see here. All of these are organized. So these ones have to do with like teacher reports, referrals, things like that. Then it goes into accommodations and modifications, FBA and behaviors, BIPs. You have transition, 504, different notes, so classroom observation forms, general IEP goal forms, progress reports, special reporting, daily reports. You have your daily behavior charts, things like that. I like to keep that in here. Behavior data, reading specific data sheets, math, and then I have different forms, and then work samples in the back. And now what I want to show you piggybacks off of this IEP Caseload Management Binder are student IEP binders. Remember how I said this binder is for me? The student IEP binders, depending on how you want them to function in your classroom, can either be something that you keep track of or something your students keep track of or something you both keep track of together. For me, when I taught self-contained, I implemented this system, the student IEP binders, and they were for me to keep track of my students' information and work samples. Again, but you can mold that and adapt it and modify it to fit the needs of your classroom. So there's 2 different versions, and you're going to find them both linked below this training or above, depending upon where the video is falling. But you have the color-coded versions, which have the kids on them, which is something like this. And then you have, this is not one of the kid versions. I should have printed off a different cover for you. But there is a middle and high school color-coded version where there are no kids on it, and it's more of different geographic black and white patterns that you can print out and put on colored paper. And so when it comes to color coding, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it, especially when it comes to binders. And so when it comes to binders and you're color coding things, especially even like papers or bins, trying to find enough colors to fit all of the students in your classroom can be really challenging. And so you have different options. The one thing that I recommend doing is if you have a caseload, so I use 6 different colors. And then if I have more than 6 students in my classroom, which I always have, then I will double up on colors. So I'll have 2 oranges, 2 blues, 2 reds, 2 greens, 2 purples, 2 yellows. But I will put their names on all of their bins. I will put their names on everything that is color coded because that is a very important skill to have as well, name identification. So they'll have a color and then they have to look for their name. It's a great skill to practice and they're practicing it daily. Anyway, off of that, dropping that mic there, leaving that alone. You can do it that way where you're having different colors and doubling up on colors. Okay, you can absolutely do that. Or If you have ever used Astro Bright's paper, or if you want to use different colors of construction paper or print things out in color, you certainly can do that. Grab white binders. They're typically the cheapest. You can get them in bulk pretty much any time of year, especially at bulk places like Sam's Club. You can buy 4 packs for, I don't even know how much they are anymore, but you can use the colored paper to change out colors and give students colors. Astro Brights has a pack of 25 different colors. Now that does include like a confetti white and a bright white and then a black page. And so if you try to print black on black, you're not really gonna see it. So generally it's about 23 different colors. And so you have 23 different color options within that. So you can use white binders, those colors, double up on colors. And then you can also, I'll leave a link below this video as well. I haven't linked it yet if you're watching live, but how to color code for larger caseloads. Anyway, this system is going to work whether you do have a larger caseload or a smaller caseload. I have a binder for each of my students, and in the video talking about larger caseloads, I'll talk to you about what I've done in the past for when I've had larger caseloads where I don't have space for 26 binders or 60 different binders. I've had caseloads of that many students. So make sure you watch that video if you want to learn how to do the student IEP binders in that capacity. This is if you have a smaller caseload. I give each student their own binder, and if you have the space to manage having all of them, everything for that student goes in this binder. So we have our progress monitoring binder rings, which is a free resource I'll come back and link for you. We have our progress monitoring daily sheets. We have our grade rubrics if we're using those instead of the regular grading, however you're grading. And then I put their goals and objectives, so I'll print their goals and objectives and have them here. Their latest progress reports, I'll throw them in here as well. And then in these page sleeves, marking period 1, in that page sleeve, I'm gonna save all of their work samples for period 1 or marking period 1 or semester 1. Marking period 2, I'm gonna do the same thing. And so at the end of the year, or if we have student teacher conferences or we have an IEP meeting, I can just pull this student's binder off the shelf and everything that I need is in here. All of their data is in here because their progress reports are in here, their goals are in here, their binder rings are in here with all of their data in it. I have all of their work samples to show parents and other team members. Literally everything I need is in here. I also keep any notes from home in here as well. And so you'll see I have some sample work in here, especially in this one. This is how I keep track of all of the things. At the end of the school year, I will take everything out, put it in a manila folder, put it in a filing cabinet, or pass it up to the next teacher if they're going up to middle school, or if they're going to a different school within the district. I will pass that information along so they have a good baseline and know what that student was doing and how they were performing with me last school year, so they have that. But if you are looking, you have to, there's certain rules within different school districts tell you have different timelines for how long you have to keep data and work samples and IEP paperwork and all of that. So make sure you ask your administrator or someone in the SPED department how long you have to keep data for. Sometimes it's 3 years, sometimes it's 5 years. It just depends on the school. And so if you're not passing the information along, just make sure that you're keeping up with that policy that they have. So student IEP binders, again, this is for me, that's how I've done it, but you could easily have students keep track of work samples. Hey, go grab your binder and put your work sample in period 1. They can put it in here. Go ahead and grab your, maybe you have student data sheets where they're tracking their goals and they're tracking their progress. Go grab your student binder. We need to add to your data sheet. And so you can easily do that with them within their own binder. Now I keep these on a bookshelf for me back by my desk. You can have students keep these in their desks or keep them back behind your desk, and then they have access to it when you tell them to go get it. So you have different options, again, with how you're choosing to color code. And if you have a larger caseload, don't forget to check back for the link for that larger caseload video after this live is over or after you finish watching the replay. The third video I want to share, or the third binder I want to share with you is if you manage or have paraprofessionals, support staff, instructional aides, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to call them paras. If you have a para in your classroom, I recommend having a paraprofessional binder. Now, this is just something that you can provide and just basically give them bare bones. So they have a place to keep all of their things. They have to have access to student IEPs. They have their own handbook for the school. They have their own rules and responsibilities and expectations for their role. They have their own duties. They have their own schedule. And so this gives them a place to keep all of that information. And it can be up to them to keep track of it. It's not up to you to keep track of this or add information to it. But just so you can see what's kind of in here, you can have a spot for their schedule. have a spot for data collection. They have a para report with a list of school age social and emotional adaptive skills checklist, duty ideas and recommendations or things that they can do within the classroom to help it function. Daily duties, their expectations, which are going to look very different role to role, but here are some examples within the binder that you can use in your classroom or delete and add your own. How to support our students, so here's just a little note that you can add in with it. Student snapshots, again, you can print those IEP snapshots and student snapshots right from the systems that your school is using. You have behaviors, so FBA para questionnaire. You have reminders, accommodations, so you could have an accommodation checklist, what students are receiving what accommodations, what is an accommodation, what's a modification. Here's their accommodation cheat sheet. You're going to go ahead and add that in. And then there are some pages for just additional accommodations that they may need to use with students that they can keep track of. Modifications, same thing, modification checklist. IEPs, so this is where they can keep those at a glances. If they're working with students with 504s, if you have a reward system, reinforcers, medical information and medical needs for students in your classroom, are they going to be assisting with that? What do they need to know? Personal care, daily duties. So maybe there's a cleaning schedule that you have something to do at the end of the day, they have something to do at the end of the day. Here's the cleaning schedule. Maybe on Mondays we're wiping down or sanitizing desks. Maybe we're doing that on Fridays. Maybe on Tuesdays we are making sure the bathroom is stocked with all of the things that we need for our students. Do we have students that are wearing diapers? Does anybody need more clothes? Do we need second or third sets of clothes for students? Let's make notes so we can send home notes tomorrow or send emails to parents quick before the end of the day. So what is our cleaning schedule and what does that look like? Or basically like a classroom maintenance schedule. Class rules. So what are the classroom rules? There is prompting, and so there is a poster that comes with it. This is also a free resource. I'll come back through and link that for you as well. A prompting hierarchy. Calendars, so they can keep track of their own due dates or when certain things are due. School assemblies, field trips, days off. You can easily also print off a school calendar and throw that in here. Throw that in your caseload management binder as well. Room information with contact information. Assessments, when are the different assessments, district and statewide. Tips and tricks that you can share with them. Inclusion tips and tricks or what classrooms they're going to, inclusion data sheets. Resource, same thing. Field trips, sensory needs, different meetings, important acronyms. Here's that list again that I'll come back and link for you, and safety procedures. So there are other things that you could add to this if you wanted to further specify it to your specific school and or your district, but this gives you a good starting place. You don't need to put all of these things in here, and you certainly could build it with your paraprofessional. You don't want it to make it, you don't want to come off as, here, I'm telling you how to do your job. You want it to be, here's a place where you can keep all of your things. I have my own IEP Caseload Management Binder, but you want to make sure that they have a place to keep all of their things. They help them stay organized. So if you say, hey, we need this data sheet, do you remember how to use it? And they're like, oh, we just came back from winter break, I kind of forget. They might have a refresher in here or something along those lines. And so they have a place to keep all of those IEP snapshots. They have a place to keep those accommodation cheat sheets. It's really just a place to help them stay more organized. Again, you can give it to them, let them organize it. Y'all can organize it together. Or if they don't want to do it at all, they certainly don't have to do that as well. So it's completely up to them, but it is an option that you have. All of these 3 binder systems are linked below this training. There is also today, so July 10th, July 11th, July 12th of 2024, so those specific dates, there is a coupon code for the Mrs. D's Corner Shop where you will get 35% off any of the resources that I'm showing you today. And so you can use July 1012, so July 10th through 12th essentially. The link is below here. It'll auto apply that to these resources in the shop. So if you wanted to grab them, you can definitely do that. I want to show you though the one additional resource that you could have, you don't have to have. I've not used it in every single classroom I've been in, and then 2 free ones or 1 free one, and then an idea that I use that's really functional and worked for me. I wanted to share it with you because they're both binder systems that I've used in my classrooms. So I will answer, let me answer questions about these really quick. Let me check back at the comments that we have here live. Mindy said, looking forward to the freebies. I can't wait to show you. I'm really, really excited. Katie said, I love the student IEP binders. They're so helpful and adorable. I love the student IEP binders. The first year that I taught self-contained, I did not use them. And going into the second year, I was like, I need something to keep track of all of the things, because I would have parents request meetings out of nowhere, which wasn't an issue, but I would have things everywhere. Like I would have really organized piles of things, and then last minute I have to go through and find them. So I had to create this system, and so I came up with the color-coded binder system, which then came color-coded my entire classroom that year, which was a lifesaver. So I absolutely love the student IEP binders. Mindy said, I love the idea of the Parabinder. That's also really helpful. I have worked for a school district where the school district gave like a template, like a blank template with a binder and all of the school district information in it to paras. And so that was really helpful. I just kind of made my own to go off of that and include some extra additional things, especially for if you're teaching different classroom settings, there's going to be different expectations, different rules, different things. And depending upon how many students that para works with you, they're going to have a lot of different IEP snapshots and accommodations at a glances and things like that. So it's just a really helpful and concise, organized way to keep track of all of that stuff. Sean says, I love these binders. That makes my heart really happy. I love them too. Caitlin said, if you have the Caseload Management Binder, does it include the Parabinder information? It does not, because not all classrooms have a paraprofessional. Again, it depends on the classroom setting you're in and what state you work in and all of that good stuff, and staffing and all of that. So they're separate, and so you'll find them linked below this. All right, I'm here. I want to show you the one other thing, and then I'm going to share the freebies with you, the one freebie, the one idea. And so the first one is a substitute binder. Now this is something that you can take or leave, because I have not used a substitute binder in all of the classrooms that I've worked in. There are some schools where I did utilize a sub binder, and then there are some where I never touched it, and everything was okay. Like nothing was on fire when I got back, and everything was fine. So this is a take it or leave it binder system idea for you, but these are also on sale this week with the same coupon code in the shop. And so I just wanted to bring it to your attention. If you wanted a place to keep classroom information that wasn't your IEP caseload binder, this is also great for general education teachers. You can keep all of your classroom information in here, all of your different expectations, all of your different procedures and policies, just truly everything, emergency sub-plans, student information, seating charts, where to find it, passwords, contact information, behavior information, notes to teachers, duties. Like there's so much stuff inside of these. But again, it is a take it or leave it kind of thing. It really depends on your classroom setting. So, but wanted to bring this to your attention. Okay, now it's time for free things. All right, the first one I want to show you is a free resource. It's linked below here. You can grab it from my Teachers Pay Teacher shop. It is a parent contact binder. Remember when we were going through the IEP Caseload Management Binder, I said there is a spot in there for parent contact. I pull that out and separate that because I color coded it inside. So this is the parent contact binder. Everything is ready to go for this upcoming school year. I just updated it today right before this training. And so you can go download the new school year. It has a binder spine. And what you're going to do, it also does, it doesn't come with these, but it comes with this sheet here. Again, it's free, and I print it front back. The dates are updated. I didn't update the data sheets that I have in here, but I print them front back. And here is how I utilize this. My students are color coded. So Stephanie in the classroom, she has an orange binder. Maybe Jeffrey is blue, and Jackson is green, and Zoe is yellow. Just throw my dog's names, my husband's names, random colors, okay? So I just took either pieces of construction paper, I'm gonna fold this backwards, pieces of construction paper and hole punch them, or these are actually the colored manila folders, and I cut them in half and I hole punch them so that I could have dividers that match the student colors, and they're also color coded inside of my parent contact binder. So then I don't have, how many spots are on here? 1, 2, 3. There's 3 different spots on the data sheet that you get in this free resource for 3 different occasions of parent contact. And so I didn't want to have Stephanie and then Jeffrey and then Zoe and then Jackson and then Stephanie and then Stephanie and then Jackson and then Zoe all mixed in on one page. And so that is why I have separated it. And you can do that by student. You can do it by number and get the different page numbers. I don't have them. I have the page tabs or the number tabs that have numbers on them. But however you want to organize your parent contact binder is completely up to you. If you want to put them all on one page, that's completely up to you as well. Why do I separate it? Because back to the scenario of last minute parent contact me or parent meeting or student, admin says, hey, I just need to see like your contact you've had with this parent, or can you tell me the last 3 times, maybe we're having an issue with a certain family, and I just want to see when the last 3 times and how you communicated with them. Or maybe we're having an IEP meeting and we're trying to document those attempts. It's all in here. So whether it's a phone, an email, I'm at bus duty, dropping them off, handing them off at car duty, I'm keeping all of that information in here. And what I like about this is there's next steps. What do I, as the teacher, need to do now? And so I am very much a paper pencil person. If it does not get written on a sticky note or on my to-do list, it is not getting done, and not because I don't want to do it, it's because I will forget. And so this gives me a place, what do I need to do now? Especially when admin comes in or we have a meeting and I'm like, well, the last time we spoke, we talked about this and you expressed a concern about this, so here's what I did next. And then you could also put comments in here about this was your response, or you can pull however you want to do that. But that is how I organize my parent contact binder. Again, this is a free resource. I've linked it in the TPT shop. You can download it. It's ready to go for the school year. However you want to keep it organized for you, it is here at your convenience. Again, I update it every year with the new school year, so you can download it and use it every single school year. That is the first free resource. Now the second resource, remember when I said, back to that IEP Caseload Management Binder, I said I keep all of my original copies of things that I don't use every day or every week in there. So as special education teachers, especially if you are a data form, paper pencil, maybe you're a hybrid, do a little bit of digital data, but not all digital data, and you have some data sheets, you're gonna have lots of copies of lots of things and like calendars everywhere. And I've always had like 10 or 12 clipboards, and every student has a different data sheet, especially when they're going to inclusion or resource, they're going to specials, or we're going somewhere. Like, we just have data sheets out the wazoo all the time. And so what I needed was one spot for me that I didn't have to go through my Caseload Management Binder every time I needed something. I just made my own binder. And so this isn't a download anywhere, but you can make your own covers. There are some digital download binder covers that you can edit in the shop. They're also on sale this week. This is just one I made for my original copies. Again, it's not cute. I even just wrote original copies with a dry erase marker down the spine. It's functional. It doesn't have to be cute. So what I do is I put page protectors inside of here, and then all of the data sheets, all of the behavior sheets, anything that I am using frequently, weekly, daily, monthly, is going in here, and I'm gonna have multiple copies. And I usually will either make copies, depending on how often I use it. I'm either gonna make copies for a marking period, I'm either gonna make copies for the whole school year, or I'm gonna make copies for the month. And so I will put, this one is the daily behavior tracker. And so we actually use this. I keep this copy. We make them into little daily communication binders, and they're not actual binders, but I spiral bind them, and so I make them for the marking period. So I keep the original copies in here because we print it front back. And this is our communication to and from school, to and from home every single day. So I'm using this daily. I'm making all of these copies, so I keep that in here. Then we have our inclusion services documentation. This is something that we use every single week. All of my students have a binder that goes with them to inclusion, the inclusion general education classroom, or it stays in that classroom depending upon that student. And so I need to have multiple copies of this available at all times. Now, for some students in the accommodations folder or column, I will have check boxes with their accommodations so that they can easily check off. The teacher can, the para can, I can check off what accommodations they used. So I keep them here. Now, let's say, because I have a lot of copies of this one in here. So let's say I get down to the very last copy. On that last page in here, I will have a sticky note that says original copy, do not use. When you get to that page in this binder, that means either don't forget to go make a copy of this because we're out, or will you please put this on my desk with the Post-it note on it so that I know that I need to go make copies. Paras are not copy maids. I just want to say that. Paras are not copy maids. So I don't mind making copies. It was very calming for me when the copier wanted to work. But you have, however the system is in your classroom, if you want your paras to go make a copy real quick, or if you say, hey, I can do this at the end of the day, do that. So this is my binder where I keep again, all you need is whatever binder you want. If you want to get a pretty one, they make ones that are glittery now. You get whatever binder you want. Doesn't have to be pretty, just needs to be functional. Put some page sleeves in it and make those copies for the entire school year, for the entire month, for the week, however long you want to. There are some things I'll print on color paper, and I'll have everything in here. Again, all of the copies that I need for all of the things. And this is just, again, a free idea that you can use in your classroom to keep everything organized aside from the other things, because there are some things for me personally that I like to have pulled out because I'm going to be using them more frequently, like the parent contact binder, like my original copies. And so you'll notice that's why I pulled these out of that IEP Caseload Management Binder. All right, we've come to the end of this video. I truly am so excited that you have stayed with me till the end and that you've learned about all of these different binder systems in the classroom. Again, don't forget July 10th, 11th, and 12th of 2024, so that's today through Friday. You can use the code July1012, the numbers 10 and 12, in our MDC shop. It's linked below this video to get 35% off any of the resources that you see here. There's lots of different options, but you also can take these ideas and kind of make your own binders for your own classroom. So just take that with a grain of salt, take all of this information in, and adapt and modify what you need to fit your classroom needs in your classroom. I'm gonna go through and answer or respond to any last live comments that we have here. We have Kimberly said, these are great. I'm so excited to get started on these before the school year begins. That was the point, and I'm so excited that you joined me live here, Kimberly, and everyone else in the comments and here that are viewing live, because I wanted to give you all time to, one, if you're gonna color code your classroom, let me just tell you this. I talked to another teacher, her name is Krista, on Instagram yesterday or 2 days ago, and some Targets and Walmarts have started putting out their back to school stuff already. Well, in the South, we go back to school like the beginning of August. And so they're putting back to school stuff out. These colored binders go real fast. So even if you don't go back till after Labor Day, you're gonna wanna just go grab the binders, stick them in a closet until you're ready to do school stuff. Because I promise you, end of August, when you go to grab them, there's not going to be any left. You're going to have to get a big size, a little size, and mix and match, and they're only going to have one purple. They're not going to have any blue. Trust me, it's happened to me. So if you see back to school stuff out and you want to color code or get the color coded binders, or just get colored binders because you like the look of them, make sure you do it soon. So check Target and Walmart. That's usually where I go to get my binders. Everywhere else is either too expensive or you have to buy like 6. And I don't need 6 orange binders. So I'm excited that you are excited about all of these different binders. Sean said, love your originals binder, so handy. It is one of my favorite things. My trusty originals binder. Colleen asked, do you have a favorite brand of binder? I don't. Honestly, they're all different brands, and I can't even tell you what they are. I just buy whatever's available and whatever colors they have available when I need a binder. So this one is Avery. I love the bulk ones from Walmart. This one is, I don't even know. This one is, I can't even read it. That's how old this binder is. I can't even read the label in it anymore. So I don't have a favorite brand. I do like the ones, and I only buy the ones that I can slide covers into. Personal preference. But I do know they have like glitter sparkly ones at Office Depot. They're very expensive though. And you can't slide anything in the front. So Corey said, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Sean said, where can I find the link? I'm on my phone and it doesn't show up. So there's a link below this video. Sean, don't worry if you don't see it right now. This video is going to have a replay within our VIP group. I'm also going to throw it onto our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. So you can come back and find it. There should be a way, I don't have my phone to see it right now, but there should be a way to read the description. But again, it's going to show up in our VIP Facebook group. And so you can go back and see all the links there. Or if you're trying to go to the shop, just go to shop.mrsdscorner.com. And then don't forget to enter the code July1012. That's correct, July1012 when you check out. All of the binders I showed you today, Lisa, are 1-inch binders. I love me a 1-inch binder. That's typically that's my comfort zone, a 1-inch binder. I hope I'm going to pronounce your name correctly. Chinea. She said, thank you. These binders are just what I need to start the year off organized. That makes my heart. I I'm one of the weirdos that loves all the paperwork that comes with special education. And so keeping everything organized has always been one of my things. Even like from the first year when I was still struggling and overwhelmed and all the things, like I had a binder for something. And so these have just evolved over the last 14 years into things that are functional for the classroom and actually work. So again, thank you so much. Lisa, thank you so much for being here. Everyone in the comments, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here live. Thank you for watching the replay. Again, all of the links for everything can be found below or above this video, depending upon where you're watching it. Don't forget to join our VIP Facebook group. It's free. MrsD'sVIPs.com will take you to the Facebook group, or you can search Mrs. D's VIPs on Facebook. We're doing live events every Wednesday this summer through August. And so don't forget to come back next Wednesday. I forget what we're talking about, but I know it's going to be something good and juicy, and I'm going to have things for you to help you get prepped for the next school year. So thank you all so much for being here. I cannot wait to see you next week.